Hi, my name is Paul and I like to go places. Sometimes those places are a little bit cold, so in today's video, aside from just some winter off-roading we're going to do, I'm also going to discuss the diesel heater that I bought in order to heat my rooftop tent in order to do some winter camping, or at least to attempt some winter camping. I've never camped in the winter before, so we're going to see how it works out. So, yeah. So I'm actually out at Reservoir Lake right now. It's a bit windy, but it's actually not as cold as I was hoping for it to be in order to do my testing with the diesel heater. But the Jeep was able to make it out here, no problem. The snow wasn't overly deep. At one point I did have to cut a tree out of my way, but that's not really a big deal. I'm still running the street pressure in my tires. Now, I think if I was to air these down, I would get much better traction in some of the snow I was driving through. But my air compressor that I have is not really meant for constant airing up of tires. It's more like an emergency type, so I really should buy a better compressor before I start doing like airing my tires up and down and stuff like that on a regular basis, because if the compressor breaks and I got like some of the tires aren't the same pressure, then that might be a little bit annoying. I'd have to air them all back down to whatever they were in order to drive back home and buy a new compressor, so yeah. But anyway, let's just talk a little bit about some of the changes I've done to the Jeep recently. So if you've watched some of my previous videos, you might know that the heater core in my Jeep basically died and started leaking coolant all over the place. And I did replace that, and right after I replaced it, the radiator started leaking coolant from where the metal core meets the top and the bottom part there, I think, because that's where like a lot of moisture appeared to be coming out. So yeah, I basically just replaced it with a factory style replacement that I bought from Rock Auto, because I don't feel that I need anything different than that. I've never had the Jeep come close to overheating, so the factory style works just fine for me, so that's what I put in there. Another change that I did recently was I actually slid the rooftop tent back a little bit. This style of tent is pretty long, and it's a little too long for the Jeep. So before, I kind of had it sticking more out the front, so there wasn't like a whole bunch of it hanging out the back there. But then I thought about this thing called aerodynamics, and I kind of realized that, I don't know, like I seem to have a huge air dam at the front. Like the Jeep is already bad for aerodynamics, and having the tent like hang out over top, I think was just making things that much worse. So I think I moved it back maybe like 5 or 6 inches, and I mean, I could probably still go a little bit further at the back, but then the problem is when I open the glass, right? I can't have the glass touching the tent when I open it. So the way it is right now works great. I don't think I'm going to bother trying to move it back any further. But yeah, I just wanted to do something that might make it a little bit easier for me to maintain speeds on the highway, especially when I've got a headwind, because it gets a little brutal when that happens. So I'm hoping the sound comes through okay. It is actually pretty windy where I am right now, but I did make some changes in the organization for the back of my Jeep. I used to have this large bin that took up like most of the space back here, and I got rid of that and replaced it with this smaller bin, which basically holds almost everything that was in there. And I did this to make room for the fact that I'm going to be carting around the diesel heater. And when I'm not carrying this around, I'll probably have my Ecoflow power station kind of wedged back here, and also just to make more room for camera stuff when I'm taking all my camera gear out. So yeah, I just needed to kind of rearrange things a little bit back there. And then I also used to have a net that was kind of like hanging right over here, and I realized that was just making it a little too annoying to access things like anything that's in this metal storage bin back there where I keep like tools and stuff. It was just kind of getting in the way, so what I did is I just kind of like shoved everything that was in there up here. So like tent, sleeping bag, all that stuff, and then I just used more bungee cables to help secure it up there. So yeah, this sags down a little bit, but it doesn't like impede my rear view. So yeah, I think it works fine. But yeah, I just strapped that down. So I mean, it's not quite as secure as that other bin that I had, because that was really strapped down, and I suppose I could make that a little bit tighter or something, but yeah. But yeah, I just needed some more room to store this stuff. And yeah, this is the diesel heater that I went with. It's like Vevor, whatever. It's a 5 kilowatt, and I went with this form factor as opposed to the one that's like taller and thinner, mainly because I wanted to, I don't know, I figured the taller one might not be able to transport as good as this one, because I mean, this seems like it's a decent fit back here. And I was also not too sure where exactly I'm going to actually run it when I've got my tent going. I was thinking maybe if I like wedged it underneath the Jeep and if the hose was long enough to reach the tent, but not sure if that's an option. I'm also thinking about, I don't know if I can just like place it somewhere up here, like next to the awning, and or if I devise something that like hooks onto the bar here and hangs it down. That has yet to be figured out. I'm still working on that. So yeah, mainly what I want to accomplish first is testing it up with the tent and seeing like how long the cables can be with it without it stopping working and stuff like that, and how long the hose will reach. I bought somewhere back here, it's a longer heater hose that I bought from Amazon because the one that comes with it doesn't go very far. So yeah, I will be hopefully testing that today. So yeah. So I'm just heading out from the Reservoir Lake area. I didn't film it on the way in because I wasn't too sure if I was actually gonna be able to make it. So, but yeah, it wasn't too bad. Basically, I'm just in first gear and obviously in four-wheel drive. And it's, yeah, it's making it no problem. I am, you know, losing traction a little bit here and there. And like I said, if I was to air down my tires, I'm sure that would help. But I think I'm gonna wait until I buy a better compressor before I start doing that. So there's part of this road, I think I've covered it before in a video, but yeah, you got to be careful not to go too far off to the right there, because might get your tires stuck in like a deep rut. So yeah, when I came up here, I was pretty much all over the place because it was obviously slippery. But yeah, there's a couple spots where I kind of felt my wheels dip into the deep ruts that are in this this trail, and obviously when it's covered in snow, you can't really tell where they are. So yeah, you just got to be careful about that. But yeah, so far I'm really not having any problem whatsoever. And of course, I do have recovery boards with me all the time. And I did order a pair of tire chains, which unfortunately have not arrived yet. I think they'll be here maybe in a couple weeks, but I'll be keeping those with me as well. Anytime I go out and do snow driving, basically just in case I need them to get out of a pickle, you know. But yeah, anyway, I think we're almost back to the main forestry road that this trail's off of. So I'm gonna find more places to explore and test out that heater, I think. So right now I'm just stopped at kind of like a makeshift camping area that I've been to before, and some interesting developments. This was never here before. I remember that sink that used to be standing up. But yeah, someone's built this structure here, and yeah, I have no idea when this was put up. I think the last time I was here was maybe a few months ago. I'm not sure, but yeah, there's other things that have happened here too. Like, is this a swing? Okay. Yeah, that wasn't there before. And then down there is, well, normally there'd be a creek there, but it's winter. I don't know if that water's still flowing. And then somewhere over there, there's kind of like some ropes hanging, but I think that was there before, and then there's like some fences that were just up there for whatever reason, I don't know. I think those are still there, but yeah, this is strange. But I mean, there's kind of like old tracks along the trail to get in here, so I don't know if it's snowmobiles or something, but people do come in here from time to time, I guess. So yeah, I don't know. Okay, so I'm back at the spot that I think I just showed you, and I've got with me the power station and the diesel heater. It's actually the next day. I was going to find a different spot to do this video covering the diesel heater, but I drove into a ditch and it took me a while to get out of that mess, and by the time I did, it was dark out. So that ended my day yesterday. But yeah, I'm just going to do a quick demonstration of how I plan on using this. I don't know if I'm actually going to bother popping the tent up and doing that today. I was going to see how it would feel inside the tent with the heater, but it's actually not that cold out right now, and I was hoping it'd be colder. So yeah. Anyway, there's going to be a few things that we're going to cover first. Well, we'll get to this because this has certain power requirements that the DC port can't meet. But yeah, to start off with, this is the 5 kilowatt Chinese diesel heater. Pretty basic, and it's pretty much like all enclosed, and on the bottom of it, so you have to kind of like find your own routing to do the exhaust and the air intake, and then I also put these little feet on here. So I think this is normally designed to just be bolted somewhere like in your camper or whatever, but I wanted this as a portable unit, so I put little feet on there, and then the air intake I just kind of attached underneath there, and then I ran the exhaust right next to it, and then I just kind of stuck a pipe out the end. This isn't like this little, that extension at the end there isn't really fastened, so I can just pull that off for transportation. But yeah, it keeps it pretty nicely enclosed, and then under there you see the diesel line right in the middle, and I covered that with like a wire loom throughout the inside of it just for fun. I had tons of that crap. So yeah, some of the mounting equipment does come with it. That'll bracket there that came with it. That one there, the metal one there, I think I had to just use from my own supply, and then I just used zip ties, and I put little holes underneath the bottom of the metal there to zip tie the air filter up there. So on the back of the unit, there's yeah, this is not something that comes with it. Basically, the air intake for the fan that goes through the heater, that's right over here. And my reasoning behind this was because this is all really close together, and when the exhaust comes out, it might like be blowing around and stuff. I wanted this thing to like pull air from the opposite direction as the exhaust was coming out. And inside the case, it's actually not like completely air sealed there, so I actually ran a bunch of like tape around there so that it wasn't pulling air from elsewhere in the case, because the exhaust fumes might just kind of go up through these holes and stuff. So yeah, and as you can see, I went to the Home Depot School of Engineering, so I just cover everything with glue and tape. So yeah. On the front, your hot air comes out here, and yeah, as you can see, there's big gaps here, right? And because this is going to be placed outside of my Jeep while I'm running it, I kind of wanted to figure out how to weather seal it, and I was trying to put some glue around here, and I think that might have just been pointless. But what I will need to figure out is if I'm going to try putting like a lid over top this whole thing, or if I'm just going to like actually place it underneath the Jeep and then run the hose out and stuff like that. So if it's like snowing or raining, it doesn't get wet. But yeah, this is the heater. Well, this heater hose I bought on Amazon. This is not the one that came with it. This is much longer, and I actually stabbed my finger with this metal part while I was trying to fit it over this. So I might have to take the original heater hose it came with, maybe make a little coupler or something, because yeah, I was trying to fit that over here, and it was not very easy to do. So yeah, other than that, the power cable comes out here, and it didn't already have this on there. I put this on there, and then I just, of course, covered it with glue to stop a bunch of movement inside there. I just do this for no reason whatsoever. It may or may not help at all, but yeah. And then on the other end of that, I basically just have the 12-volt cigarette lighter plug, and then it's got the diesel in here. I think it's like a 5-liter diesel tank. So yeah. Now, here's the problem. I thought I could just plug this into the DC outlet on my Ecoflow and everything would just work. Yep, that was wrong. So this draws, I think, up to about 15 amps at 12-volt DC during the startup procedure, and that outputs 10 amps maximum. So power was a problem, and that's why I have this device here. This is just basically a DC power supply, and it outputs a maximum of 15 amp, 200 watts of DC power, and I have to plug this into the AC port here. But it does work. That's not exactly the way I wanted to do things, obviously, because I had to then buy this, but it adds more to the electrical system, and I think that's probably going to maybe provide a little bit of electric waste, having to go from like the internal of here to AC, then back to DC. You know, I didn't really want to do it that way, but yeah, through my testing, when I plugged this right into the Ecoflow and I tried turning it on, it would turn on, and then I think right when it tried to cycle the glow plug, the screen would just like flicker a bunch of times, and then it would just turn off. And there's been other times where I tried to run it off of my Jeep directly, but maybe I had the cable too long, and it would throw the error E01, which is abnormal voltage. And if you're familiar with these diesel heaters, they throw that error quite often if it's unhappy with your electrical system. So, but yeah, what I'm going to do right now is just do a demonstration of starting it up, and then we'll go from there. All right, so I've got it plugged up into my power supply here. My AC is on, the Ecoflow is on, and over here, it's basically just a matter of pushing this button, and then it starts off with the number 10, which is the level of the heat, and I'm just gonna manually set it down to the minimum, so it doesn't draw as much diesel through it. And of course it thinks it's like 12 o'clock because it forgets its time. So yeah, so this will take, I think I was looking at originally between like 4 and 5 minutes to do the full startup procedure, where if we look over here, like, you know, it's drawing some wattage there, like 120, 130 so far. And I think it'll draw around that up to like 150, 160 watts for like the first couple of minutes. And you can see there's a bit of a exhaust coming out there. We don't have any hot air yet, and you can't hear the fuel pump going yet. So one thing I will note while this is going, the original startup procedure, I think these things can sometimes be a bit tricky. This is like apparently the most modern unit that company made. And when I first got it and plugged it all in, I had it hooked up directly to a battery, so I didn't have any of those electrical problems yet. But all I had to do was turn it on, and I just sat there and waited, and it eventually primed itself. I don't know if that's the way you're supposed to do it, but if you do want to manually, oh, there, you can hear the pump going. But if you do want to manually prime it, you can hold down like one of these arrow buttons for 7 seconds, and it manually primes the whole thing. But I just turned the power on originally and just waited, and it figured itself out. So yeah, but yeah, as you can hear, well, I'm I'm hoping you can hear my camera, but yeah, the fuel pump is going. We're just waiting for the air to heat up, and there is hot air coming out of the exhaust. And this thing will kind of ramp up a little bit. If we check the wattage over here, we're looking at, yeah, 115 watts. So it jumped up to 130 there briefly, 125. So it's still drawing a decent amount of power. This will drop down quite a bit. But yeah, this startup procedure does take some more power than the DC port was able to put out. So yeah, like as you can see, we're going up to almost 160 there. So yeah, it does draw a lot for startup. So that's something to be aware of if you're building your own heating system. But let's see here. Okay, it's getting warmer. Move this out of the way here. And yeah, there's a bit of wind here, so as the exhaust comes out here, it gets like blown that way, which is one of the reasons why I was kind of wanting to figure out a way for this air intake to work better without getting a bunch of exhaust going through there. Because typically if this is inside your camper or something, it's bringing in the air, the ambient air, and heating it. Whereas where I'm going to be running this, I don't want it to be bringing in exhaust fumes and then sending it up to my tent. So yeah. But the exhaust is going, and not sure if it's I think I might actually have an exhaust leak somewhere in there as well. Where is that coming out of? It looks like exhaust is coming out of the little muffler thing. Oh my god, okay. Super, I'm gonna have to look into that. It seems like most of the exhaust is coming out here though, and I do have hot air coming out of the heater. So, if we check the clock thing here, it says like 12:04, so it's been running for 4 minutes approximately. Let's go check our power, and there we are. We're down to like almost no power being used. The watts will jump up here and there, but yeah, this power station should be able to sustain this for a while. Yeah, you can see it jumped up briefly to like 25 watts and then down to nothing. So yeah, once it's running, it doesn't draw that much. So power-wise, you'll be good for running all night. Diesel-wise, I think a full tank will get you something like 10 hours of heating approximately. I'm not sure what level that was supposed to be specified as, but I think I'll be running it on the lowest level because the tent is pretty small. I don't need to cover that much space, but yeah. I'm gonna have to work on this exhaust situation because it just kind of gets blown everywhere. And the manual says your exhaust needs to come out like horizontally and then maybe downward a bit. What I originally wanted to do was have the exhaust go straight up, right? But apparently that will cause an issue with the combustion. So yeah, your exhaust kind of has to be like this. But yeah, like the fact that there's so much of it coming out from underneath the unit, that kind of annoys me because it just goes up through there, and then that kind of can get inside the housing anyway, which is where the air intake was. So yeah, I don't know. I still have some tweaking to do on this, but in terms of functionality, it works fine. And yeah, I'm looking forward to actually trying to do some winter camping with this. I figure I was going to use it when the temperatures are like below zero. Right now, it's actually not that cold. It's like probably 5 or 6 degrees. And if I was camping in that temperature, I would just be in my sleeping bag, you know. I've slept in colder without a heater, so yeah. But yeah, if we ramp it up a bit, you'll hear the pump go faster. So I'm not sure how much fuel it would actually use between those two levels, but yeah, like this moves a lot of air. It's quite nice. And drop it back down. There is, right now I'm in a manual mode. There is also apparently an automatic mode where you can set the temperature that you want it to be at. But because this thing's going to be sitting outside, that's not obviously going to work for me. But yeah, this seems like a decent product. This was like the cheapest one I could find. I think I paid about 160 Canadian dollars. And then right after I bought it, it went on sale for cheaper. So I was thrilled about that. But I don't know. I'll probably do another review once I actually try this camping. And once I figure out this, because that is quite annoying, and it looks like it's, yeah, looks like it's just coming out of the little muffler there. So I don't know, that's weird. Super annoying, but yeah.